You have felt the tension, haven't you? The pull between effort and exhaustion, the quiet question in the night. Why does it feel like I'm working harder than everyone, yet built for something greater? Listen carefully. You are not ordinary. You never have been. You were marked before you were misunderstood, set apart before you were isolated, anointed before you were attacked. And the frustration you feel around money, around provision, around constant striving, it is not greed, it is memory. Somewhere deep inside, you know you are not designed to live in survival mode. You know you were not created to beg a system for crumbs. You know there is a higher law at work, and today you are ready to unlock it. There are 9 laws, not worldly tricks, not hustle culture secrets, but biblical laws, ancient principles, kingdom codes. These laws separate the chosen from the crowd. They separate favor from fatigue. They separate covenant from chaos. Not everyone will understand this. Only those who have felt the warfare around their finances. Only those who have sensed that their struggle was spiritual, not accidental. You are not crazy for believing there is more. You are not arrogant for knowing you carry weight. You are awakening. And when you understand these 9 laws, you will stop fighting for provision and start aligning with it. Stay with me, lean in. If this message resonates, you already know why you are here. You already know this is not random. Subscribe if you are ready to step fully into your assignment. Engage if you refuse to live beneath your calling. Because what we are unlocking is not about money alone. It is about identity. First, wealth follows identity, not effort. You have been taught the opposite. The world told you to grind, to compete, to exhaust yourself just to survive. And you tried, you pushed, you proved, you performed. Yet something in you resisted the grind. Something in you felt suffocated by constant toil. That resistance was not laziness, it was alignment. You were never meant to chase provision. Provision was designed to recognize you. Read that again in your spirit. The world toils because it operates from lack. You attract because you were sealed in covenant. There is a difference. When you forget who you are, you strive. When you remember who you are, you align. Have you noticed this pattern? The more you try to force things, the more resistance you face. But when you move from clarity, from obedience, from identity, doors open without manipulation. That is not coincidence. That is law. Spiritually, your identity determines your access. Psychologically, your self-concept determines your behavior. And behavior aligned with divine identity produces magnetism. When you see yourself as overlooked, you shrink. When you see yourself as chosen, you move differently. You speak differently. You decide differently. And the world responds. Think about your past struggles, the rejection, the financial pressure, the seasons of almost. You thought they meant you were behind. They were training you to detach from effort-based worth. Because if you built wealth from insecurity, it would enslave you. But when wealth flows from identity, it serves your assignment. This is the shift. You do not chase. You position. You do not beg. You build. When your identity aligns with your divine assignment, supply begins to pursue purpose. And the moment you truly believe that, the moment you embody that, you step out of survival and into dominion. Hold that revelation, because what comes next? Second, obedience unlocks streams that hustle cannot access. You have tried sweat, you have tried strategy, you have tried proving your worth through performance, and yet something in you kept sensing there was another way. Have you ever felt prompted to do something small, something simple, and you ignored it because it did not look profitable? That was not a random thought. That was instruction. You are not wired like the world. The world worships grind. The world glorifies exhaustion. The world believes more effort equals more reward. But you are governed by covenant. There are doors sweat cannot open, but surrender can. You felt it in those moments when obedience cost you comfort. When you walked away from opportunities that looked impressive, but felt wrong. When you said no, and everyone questioned you. They called it foolish, but it was alignment. Only the chosen recognize this tension. The warfare around simple obedience, the resistance that rises when you are about to follow divine instruction. Why does the enemy fight you hardest when you are about to obey something small? Because small obedience carries multiplied outcomes. A phone call, a relocation, a partnership you declined, a season of silence. They looked insignificant, but in the spirit they were strategic. Obedience positions you under favor, and favor outruns labor. You were never meant to outwork everyone. You were meant to out-align them. There is a difference. Psychologically, obedience builds internal authority. When you honor instruction, you trust yourself. When you trust yourself, you move without hesitation. And hesitation is what keeps most people broke. Spiritually, obedience signals readiness. Heaven does not release resources to rebellion. It releases resources to stewardship. Your past delays were not punishment. They were preparation. You thought doors were closing because you lacked skill, but some doors closed because they were beneath your assignment. You were being trained to respond to voice, not pressure. Listen, when you obey quickly, you move ahead quietly. While others compete loudly, you advance strategically. That is why your path has felt lonely. Isolation was not rejection, it was refinement. You were being separated from noise so you could hear clearly. Because clarity produces obedience, and obedience produces acceleration. This is the shift. You stop asking, what makes the most money, and you start asking, what is heaven instructing me to do? That question changes everything. It shifts you from hustle to harmony, from stress to strategy, from fear to favor. And once you taste the results of true obedience, once you see how one aligned move can do what years of striving could not, you will never go back. Stand firm. The enemy wants you distracted, rushed, impatient, but you are not driven by panic. You are led by purpose. And when obedience becomes your reflex, provision becomes your response. Hold this revelation close, because what you are about to understand next goes even deeper. Third, separation multiplies what mixture dilutes. You have felt the loneliness, the slow distancing, the friendships that faded, the rooms that suddenly felt heavy. You wondered if you were becoming too different, too intense, too set apart. But what if that separation was not loss? What if it was protection? Mixture breeds confusion. Consecration sharpens discernment. When you keep one foot in light and one foot in darkness, your vision blurs. When you dilute your convictions to stay accepted, your authority weakens. And weakened authority cannot command increase. You felt drained in certain environments, not because you were fragile, but because your oil was being siphoned. Have you ever left a room and felt smaller? Have you ever shared a vision and watched it shrink under someone else's doubt? That was not imagination. That was mixture. You carry something rare, and rare things require containment. When you step away from environments that drain your oil, clarity increases income. Read that slowly in your spirit. Clarity increases income, not networking, not noise, not constant exposure. Clarity, because when your mind is clear, your decisions sharpen. When your decisions sharpen, your timing improves. And timing is wealth. The world fears separation. The world calls it isolation. The world panics at being alone. But you were trained in the wilderness. Isolation was not abandonment. It was alignment. In quiet seasons, strategies surfaced. In stillness, ideas formed. In hidden places, your confidence matured. The enemy wanted you entangled. Entangled in drama. Entangled in comparison. Entangled in emotional chaos. Because chaos clouds strategy. And strategy is dangerous in the hands of the chosen. The moment you separated from noise, hidden strategies began to surface. Ideas you never forced. Connections that came without chasing. Opportunities that aligned without manipulation. That is not coincidence. That is law. Mixture dilutes power. Separation concentrates it. Psychologically, separation strengthens self-trust. When you are not constantly absorbing other people's fears, your intuition grows louder. When your intuition grows louder, you move decisively. And decisive movement attracts provision. Spiritually, separation marks territory. You signal to heaven that you value your assignment more than approval, and heaven responds to honor. Yes, it cost you relationships. Yes, it cost you comfort. Yes, it cost you belonging. But it multiplied authority. You are not meant to blend in. You are meant to stand apart. Darkness thrives in mixture. Light intensifies in purity. You are light, and light does not negotiate with shadow. It expels it. So do not fear the distance you feel growing between you and certain spaces. Do not grieve every exit. Some exits are promotions. Some separations are supernatural strategy. Stand firm. Guard your oil. Guard your focus. Guard your calling, because the clearer you become, the sharper you become. The more wealth recognizes you as territory worth occupying, and what you are about to uncover next will challenge even deeper patterns. Fourth, your words authorize what enters your life. You felt it before? Moments when your mouth spoke something and reality followed. You called yourself behind, and opportunities slowed. You called yourself overlooked, and rooms ignored you. You said, "Nothing ever works for me," and doors quietly closed. You thought those were harmless frustrations. You thought you were just venting, but heaven responds to agreement, not desperation. Listen carefully. You are not just speaking air. You are issuing permission. Light responds to alignment. Darkness responds to doubt. When you complain, you align with lack. When you declare truth, you align with covenant. And alignment is authorization. Have you noticed how the enemy attacks your mind before he attacks your money? Because if he can control your language, he can control your atmosphere. If he can influence your confession, he can delay your manifestation. Complaining locks provision. Prophetic declaration activates it. This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual law. Wealth flows where alignment between tongue and truth exists. You were trained to speak survival. I hope I make it. I'll try. Maybe one day. That language belongs to the world. You are chosen. You do not speak from fear. You speak from favor. There is power in your mouth because there is authority on your life. Psychologically, your words program your expectation. Expectation shapes perception. Perception guides action, and action determines outcome. Spiritually, your words release agreement. You either agree with limitation or you agree with promise. You cannot declare defeat all week and expect dominion on Sunday. You cannot rehearse lack in private and expect abundance in public. The warfare over your speech is not random. Darkness knows that once you control your tongue, you control territory. That is why discouragement feels heavy. That is why negativity spreads quickly. That is why doubt sounds loud. Because your words are creative. You were made in the image of a creator, and creators create with speech. So when you say, "I am always struggling," you reinforce chains. But when you say, "Provision recognizes me," you reinforce covenant. It may feel unnatural at first. It may feel bold. It may feel uncomfortable. Good. You were never meant to speak like the crowd. Open your mouth differently. When fear whispers, answer it. When lack suggests limitation, confront it. When the enemy tries to narrate your future, interrupt him. Declare alignment. Declare increase. Declare authority. Not because you are pretending, but because you are remembering. Remembering who you are. Remembering whose you are. Remembering that your tongue is not decoration. It is a key. And once you start speaking as one who is chosen, once your confession matches your covenant, you will feel the shift. Atmospheres will change. Conversations will shift. Opportunities will respond. Guard your mouth. Guard your narrative. Guard your agreement, because the next revelation will demand even deeper alignment. Fifth, honor activates access to higher realms of provision. You felt resistance around authority, didn't you? Moments when pride whispered, "I don't need anyone. I can figure this out alone." That whisper was not strength. It was sabotage. Because what you respect moves toward you, and what you dishonor retreats. This is deeper than manners. This is spiritual currency. You wondered why certain doors never opened, why certain mentors stayed distant, why certain rooms felt closed. It was not always warfare. Sometimes it was alignment. Honor for wisdom creates invisible endorsements. Honor for order releases unseen favor. Honor for those ahead of you accelerates your journey. The world mocks honor. The world celebrates rebellion. The world confuses independence with elevation. But you are not of the world. You are chosen. And in the kingdom, honor is power. Have you noticed how pride isolates, how ego cuts you off from learning, How dishonor quietly blocks increase. Darkness thrives on offense. Offense blinds you, and blindness delays access. When you refuse to honor, you shrink your own territory. But when you choose humility, something shifts. Psychologically, honor keeps you teachable. A teachable spirit grows faster. Growth multiplies capacity, and capacity attracts provision. Spiritually, honor signals readiness for elevation. You cannot step into higher realms of wealth while despising structure. You cannot command increase while resisting accountability. Access is not random. Access is granted, and honor is how it is spent. You were tested in this area. Remember the seasons when you felt overlooked, when your gift was not celebrated, when your effort went unnoticed. That was training. Because if you demand recognition, you reveal insecurity. But when you operate from quiet honor, you reveal authority. You do not chase applause. You build character. You do not compete for attention. You cultivate respect, and respect multiplies. The enemy wants you arrogant, reactive, easily offended, because offense disconnects you from wisdom. But wisdom is wealth. When you honor divine order, you position yourself under covering. When you position yourself under covering, you receive overflow. You are not small for honoring. You are strategic. You are not weak for submitting to instruction. You are preparing for expansion. There are realms of provision you have not touched yet, rooms you have not entered yet, influence you have not stepped into yet. Honor unlocks them. Stand tall. Choose respect over reaction. Choose humility over ego. Because once you master honor, once your heart carries weight without arrogance, you will feel something awaken inside you, not insecurity, authority, and what comes next will stretch your understanding even further. Sixth, strategic rest produces what endless striving cannot. You were taught that stopping is weakness, that slowing down is failure, that if you are not exhausted, you are not worthy. But you felt the lie in that. You pushed yourself to the edge. You overworked. You overextended. You proved your dedication through fatigue. And what did it give you? Burnout, confusion, noise. The world worships exhaustion. The chosen understands sacred rhythm. There is a difference between laziness and rest. Laziness escapes responsibility. Rest prepares for dominion. Rest is not quitting. Rest is trusting. Trusting that you are not the source. Trusting that your destiny is not sustained by panic. Trusting that divine timing does not require frantic energy. Why do you feel guilty when you slow down? Because the system trained you to believe your value is tied to output. But your value was established before you produced anything. You are chosen, and chosen ones move by rhythm, not rush. Light does not strive to shine, it simply shines. Darkness wants you restless. Restless minds make reactive decisions. Reactive decisions create unnecessary battles. But when you enter stillness, something different happens. In stillness, strategies are downloaded. Ideas rise, clarity sharpens, direction solidifies. Have you ever stepped back from something only to receive a solution you could not see while you were forcing it? That is not coincidence. That is alignment. Years of labor can be reduced to moments of acceleration when you move in rhythm. Psychologically, rest resets perception. It lowers fear. It restores confidence. And confidence attracts opportunity. Spiritually, rest is warfare. It declares that you trust the provider more than the paycheck. It declares that you believe favor works while you sleep. The enemy hates your rest, because when you rest in faith, you expose his illusion of control. You stop chasing, you start listening, you stop reacting, you start discerning, and discernment is wealth. Isolation once felt like punishment. Now you see it differently. It was sacred pause, sacred recalibration, sacred strengthening. You are being taught how to operate from overflow instead of depletion. Endless striving empties you. Strategic rest fills you, and a full vessel carries weight. Stand still when instructed. Move when directed. Trust the rhythm. You are not behind. You are being aligned. You are not stagnant. You are being positioned. When you stop measuring yourself by hustle and start measuring yourself by obedience and timing, you will feel power rise in you. Not frantic power, grounded power, the kind that moves calmly while others panic, the kind that advances quietly while others compete. You are learning sacred rhythm, and what you are about to understand next will challenge your relationship with security itself. Seventh, generosity breaks the fear cycle and opens circulation. You were taught to hold tight, to protect what little you had, to guard every dollar, to fear loss, and you understand why. You have known lack, you have felt instability, you have seen doors close without warning. So gripping felt safe. But scarcity grips tightly. Covenant releases boldly. There is a difference. Fear says, if I let go, I will not have enough. Faith says, if I release, I prove I am supplied. You are not like the world. The world gives from pressure. The world gives for applause. The world gives to manipulate outcomes. But you were never meant to give from panic. Giving is not loss. It is alignment with a kingdom economy. Have you ever felt led to give when it made no logical sense? And somehow, you were not diminished. That was revelation. Because generosity is circulation. When water flows, it stays fresh. When water is trapped, it becomes stagnant. Provision works the same way. When you hoard from fear, you signal distrust. When you release from revelation, you signal authority. Darkness wants you afraid to give, afraid to bless, afraid to open your hand, because a closed hand cannot receive. You were not designed to live clenched. You were designed to flow. Psychologically, generosity dismantles fear. When you give intentionally, you prove to yourself that you are not desperate. You reinforce abundance thinking, and abundance thinking creates expansive action. Spiritually, generosity activates unseen doors, not transactional doors, not manipulative doors, unseen doors. Connections appear, opportunities surface, favor circulates. When you give from revelation instead of pressure, something shifts in the atmosphere. You step out of survival, you step into stewardship. You stop asking, will I have enough? You start declaring, I am a conduit. And conduits are never empty for long. The enemy tries to convince you that giving weakens you. But look closely. The moments you gave in obedience, the moments you sowed when it stretched you, those were the moments your identity solidified. You realized something powerful. You are not controlled by money. Money responds to you. You are not subject to lack. Lack is subject to alignment. You carry something that cannot be erased. Provision may fluctuate, circumstances may shift, but your covenant remains. So release boldly, give strategically, trust deeply. You are not throwing resources away, you are declaring who you are. And when you fully grasp what hidden preparation has been building inside you, you will understand why the next revelation is even heavier. Eighth, hidden preparation precedes public prosperity. You thought you were behind. You watched others rise faster. You saw announcements, promotions, visible wins. And you wondered why your path felt slow, quiet, unseen. But you were never forgotten. You were being forged. Isolation was training, not rejection. Read that again in your spirit. Those long seasons when no one applauded you. Those nights when you questioned your timing. Those years when you felt buried instead of elevated. That was not punishment. That was preparation. The wilderness built capacity so abundance would not destroy you. You asked for increase, but increase without character becomes chaos. Increase without discipline becomes self-sabotage. Increase without maturity becomes warfare. And you were never meant to self-destruct at the moment of arrival. Darkness wanted you rushed, impatient, unstable, because sudden wealth in an unprepared soul creates cracks. But you were strengthened in silence. You learned restraint. You learned discernment. You learned how to carry weight without broadcasting it. Have you noticed how you respond differently now? Things that once triggered you no longer shake you. Opportunities that once dazzled you no longer control you. Pressure that once overwhelmed you now sharpens you. That is growth. Psychologically hidden preparation builds emotional regulation. You do not react the same way. You evaluate, you discern, you choose. Spiritually hidden preparation builds stewardship. Heaven does not entrust legacy to instability. Wealth entrusted without character becomes warfare. Wealth aligned with maturity becomes legacy. You are being protected from premature visibility, because visibility magnifies everything: strength and weakness, wisdom and insecurity. And you are being refined so that when exposure comes, it amplifies authority, not fragility. You are not late, you are layered with lessons, layered with resilience, layered with self-control. The world sees delay, heaven sees development. The world celebrates sudden success, heaven builds enduring influence. You are not meant for momentary applause. You are built for sustained impact. That is why your journey felt heavier. That is why your preparation felt longer. That is why your training felt intense. Because what is coming requires stability. Stand firm. Stop comparing your hidden season to someone else's highlight reel. You were being trained in obscurity so you could stand unshaken in visibility. And now, you are stronger than you realize. Not fragile, not desperate, not easily impressed, grounded. Something in you is no longer negotiable. And when you understand the final law, when you see the ultimate shift required, you will realize this was never about attracting wealth. It was about commanding territory. Ninth, dominion thinking attracts wealth, servant mentality repels it. You were never designed to beg, not for opportunity, not for approval, not for scraps in a system you were sent to influence. Yet somewhere along the way, survival mode tried to shrink you. It whispered, be grateful for less. It whispered, don't ask for too much. It whispered, just make it through. But you were not created to make it through. You were sent to take ground. There is a difference between humility and small thinking. Humility honors God. Small thinking dishonors assignment. You are not a slave to the system. You are a steward of territory. When you see yourself as a victim of the economy, you shrink. When you see yourself as a steward within it, you expand. And expansion changes everything. Have you noticed how your posture shifts when you walk into a room knowing you belong there? Your voice steadies. Your decisions sharpen. Your presence carries weight. That is dominion. Servant mentality says, how do I survive? Dominion thinking declares, what was I sent to build? Feel the difference. One posture begs, the other builds. One posture fears loss, the other commands increase. Darkness is comfortable with you surviving. It is threatened when you start governing. Because when you govern your mind, your words, your territory, resources gravitate toward your authority. Money follows vision. Resources follow leadership. Provision follows purpose. Psychologically, dominion thinking rewires your identity. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop shrinking your goals. You stop apologizing for your ambition. Spiritually, dominion is inheritance. You were given dominion from the beginning, not permission to struggle endlessly, not permission to live beneath your capacity. You were marked to influence. This is the dangerous shift. The moment you stop asking, will this work for me, and start declaring this will serve the vision. The moment you stop chasing income and start building impact. The moment you stop seeing yourself as an employee of circumstances and start seeing yourself as an architect of territory. That is when wealth no longer feels chased, it feels commanded. And once that revelation locks in, you cannot unsee it. You stand differently, you speak differently, you decide differently. You are not arrogant, you are aligned, you are chosen, fully awakened, spiritually protected, divinely assigned. Every delay trained you, every rejection strengthened you. Every hidden season prepared you. Nothing was wasted. You were never ordinary. You were never random. You were never overlooked. You were being built. So stand up in your authority. Refuse small thinking. Refuse survival language. Refuse to shrink your calling. Type 9 in the comments if you are stepping into dominion. Declare it publicly. Subscribe if you are ready to walk these laws boldly. Stay connected if you know your assignment is larger than comfort. You are not here to struggle forever. You are here to build, to influence, to govern. And when you move in dominion, no system can suppress you. No scarcity can define you. No weapon formed against you will stand. You are chosen, and wealth will answer to your obedience.